evening, late night freaks. I'm here to give you a read straight from the hip with lots of lip. And we're going to be diving into a collective wild card reading for this new moon in Virgo lunar cycle that we just entered just about 15 minutes ago or so out here just outside of Detroit. And I am really looking forward to diving into this energy. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense, this energy coming in. We got a lot of stuff rocking and rolling with this particular lunar cycle that we're going to feel all the way up until September 25th when we have the new moon in Libra. Okay. Right now is the best time to put your plans into motion. You know, anything you're doing to change your habits or bringing any type of vision or project or goal into being. You want to really get that moving now through September 10th is the most ideal time. September 10th, we got some stuff going on. Okay, right now we are in Mercury retrograde pre-shadow. September 10th is when we got the Pisces full moon. All right, so we also have 5 outer planets in retrograde right now. That is Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus. We still have this Saturn square Uranus action going on. We also have Venus square Uranus right now, and Venus is opposite Uranus. And then on top of it all, if that wasn't enough to contend with, we have Libra hosting the Mercury retrograde that gets kicked off with that Pisces full moon on the 10th. And that's going to be in play clear through October 2nd. And then we have the post shadow to contend with that. So get ready for the pause button to get hit big time. Look for the cliffhangers to come in just as everything is getting stirred up, everything is getting activated, and tempers are flaring, and the frustrations at an all-time high. Look at it all to come to a screeching halt while we rock and roll emotionally and try to find our center. It's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride with this particular lunar cycle. We also have this moon is square Mars. So we're like looking at that emperor in reverse kind of energy. There's going to be a lot of people hell-bent on getting their way. And the thing is that that kind of combativeness is really what's going to set us all back. There's this need to work with more of that unconventional energy of Uranus to sort of think outside the box, you know, have a break from tradition, do things in a more kind of unconventional way, right? And yet there's this pull from Saturn to stick to tradition and to do things by the book, you know, so there's this rebellious energy fighting with the energy that wants to keep everything in control. And this dynamic is also going to be played out within us. It's like, just as I said that, we have this 7 of spades energy showing up in the shadow, and it came over to cross this right here. Okay, we got King of Spades energy also in the shadow, right? So yeah, I can see that it's this kind of vibe of I want to win at any cost. And the competitive energy can be very high with this particular dynamic that we got going on, especially because there's so much like push, pull, oppositional energy. I mean, even with what's happening with Mars and Venus, it's that dance. We've been doing this Mars-Venus dance for a while. And Aries is opposite to Libra, okay? And Aries has Mars as its ruler, and Libra has Venus as its ruler. So there's this, you know, there's this push, pull, you know, between the active and the receptive, you know, and it's this need to find the balance, to find the temperance where when you're feeling really activated, when you move into that place where you're like, I just want the instant gratification. I just want what I want. And I don't care who who suffers because of it or what I have to, deal with down the road. I just want what I want right now. And it's that kind of selfish sort of combative mindset that could cause a lot of problems. But we see that very front and center with this seven of spades. This is just, I'm going to take what I'm going to take. You don't like it, that's not my problem. And I'm going to do it, behind your back, so I don't have to deal with your bullshit. This is the kind of energy in play. King of Swords is the ability normally to be very decisive, to know what needs to be done and to execute with clarity, take the right actions, be balanced. But this is coming up in the shadow. This is air sign energy. Okay, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, be really live to this message here, right? You need to be aware of, keeping your moves in alignment with your integrity. All right, super, super important here. This is also coming in for the water sign energy as well. Queen of Hearts, we got Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio in the mix here. And this also could very well be in matters of love. We do have this difficult aspect with Venus square Uranus. Okay, so this can be about people working out of pocket in the love arena as well, where it's like, no, I don't care. I don't care if you're with that person. I don't care if you guys are in a relationship. I want them. And, inserting themselves into a two-party dynamic and becoming the third wheel. There is this like third party energy that can be involved. People fighting over someone, which I just think is like so ridiculous, and I don't understand why people go there, because it's like, why would you want to fight over anyone? I don't know. Personally, me, if I were to see something like that go on, I just have no desire to even go down that road. It's like there's obviously nothing that has anything to do with any kind of true love or respect or affection in a dynamic like that. It's more like this battle of wills and egos. And I think often in situations like that, whether it's, two dudes, battling it out for a chick they're into, or whether it's two women, being catty with each other because they want the same person, or maybe somebody is like stepping outside of their relationship. All of these dynamics, it's always a case of like trying to prove that you're better than the other person. Like, I'm more desirable, I'm more attractive, it's all this kind of false egoic superiority in these kind of dynamics. And what's yours, what's meant for you, it always just flows. It flows so naturally, without this static, without this aggression, without this competition. I mean, anybody who tries to make you an option, I think it's just a good practice always, but especially in this particular lunar cycle, if anybody tries to make you an option, why are you giving them that power? Like, take yourself off the table as an option. Be like, hey, go do your thing, do what you want. I'm not going to be a part of that. The more that you can kind of pull yourself away from scenarios that actually might really activate you, you might feel like, hey, this is fucked up. This person is like kind of interfering in my relationship, or this person isn't being true to me. I know they're spinning me some fucking bullshit, and I know they're doing some stuff behind my back, and that may make you want to go to this place of getting even, or I'll show them, or doing a tit for tat kind of energy. Yeah, but this just leads to heartache with this three of spades. Okay, it's far better in this kind of a dynamic where you just recognize that it's better to take the loss with that three of spades coming up in the light aspect. It's better to just remove yourself, extricate yourself from that, because is that really what you're wanting to create? And so it's about being able to step into that Saturn energy where you can, don't make it all about being in the heart and in the passions. Okay, that's wonderful. It's wonderful to feel stirred up emotionally in your heart when it's coming from a place where it's actually feeling good, not because you're getting dinged and you're activated and you're angry and you're upset, right? That doesn't do anybody any good. But it's more beneficial if you can come to this place of just understanding that, hey, that's not what I'm looking to create. So I'm going to go ahead and let this go. And yeah, that might hurt, but I'm going to remove myself from this situation. And in doing that, you sort of preserve what is true for you instead of sacrificing your truth. There's very much this energy that's front and center with this particular lunar cycle where it's like that 7 of Wands, you know? It's about really knowing where you stand and being firm in it. Being firm in it. You may have a lot of oppositional energy coming at you. You may have a lot of people that disagree with you. You may have a lot of people that want to get you kind of snared into the drama, but it's up to you to not take that bait. And you know when you're being baited. And the thing that makes you want to take the bait and get involved in that, back and forth bullshit is all ego based. It's to want to prove you're right and that person's wrong, or I'm better than you, or, any of this silly, silly stuff. So I really see these are the energies that need to be transformed. I mean, it looks like nobody is getting off the hook here, okay? Because we have this coming in for the Earth sign energy too, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, with the Queen of Pentacles also in this shadow aspect. A lot of this can have to do with finances too, in your business dealings, how you're interacting with people on a business level. Is everything above board? Are the agreements fair? Are you trying to take more than is your share? Are you moving, in a way that's not really ethical in your business dealings? Is there something you need to look at there? Is somebody dealing with you in this way? Okay, there's this real need to lay down the burdens with this 10 of clubs that's coming up in the shadow aspect. This is the time to sort of pull all the skeletons out of the closet, all those things that we're doing, all the ways that we're moving that we know, we're acting out of our shadow. We're not making the choice that's really in alignment with what we know is true, deep in the core of our being. And to make the choice to give that shit up, let it go. That might require quite a bit of discipline, It's not necessarily going to be easy. I think a lot of this has to do with what's on social media. Okay, this is coming up in the light aspect. So, it's kind of interesting message just coming in here, just being mindful of that. Like, how are you communicating? How are you putting yourself across, on social media? Are you coming from a real place? Are you coming from a genuine place? If you're doing business, online, on social media, are you representing yourself as you are, or is it an image that you're projecting there? How can you make it more genuine? How can you make it more authentic? How can you make it more in alignment with who you really are? Likewise, if there's any kinds of drama, going on online, you don't need to engage with that. I know that it's very typical online now, to be scrolling through your feed and somebody's arguing about, why they're right and this person's wrong. And it creates so much combative energy. It's so negative and draining, it's totally unproductive. It doesn't solve anything. So maybe it's about, considering how you're interacting online. The more that you can kind of put the focus on yourself throughout this lunar cycle, as opposed to trying to make it all about what they are doing, the better off you're going to be. the more that you sort of look at the way that you get activated or riled up, or you want to like, I'll tell them, you know, when you feel that hook, you know, that's when you need to pay attention. When you're feeling that urge to sort of, you know, move into that energy, argue with somebody, tell them what's what, uh, get into the drama, you know, feed the drama, put up a passive aggressive, you know, Facebook post, a baiting post, you know what's up. You know, people do this shit all the time. And it's like when you're feeling like doing that, that's when it's time to use that Saturn energy and say, wait a minute, wait just a minute. Is this really the best action for me to take right now? It's like creating just that moment, that moment of pause, you know, just giving it just a little breathing room, not being so activated that you automatically take action and move with that intense fiery energy and then realize you just made a big mess of things. It's just not worth it at this time, you know. And at the same time, don't stir the don't stir the pot, but don't take any shit either. Okay, because there is this quality that's front and center too. You know, we got 3 of clubs energy here. We do have opportunities coming in. We have good stuff coming in, things that we've worked very hard for, things that we have been pouring our energy into, things we've been developing. You know, this can be anything from you know, a business you've been building to um, getting your way through school and really, you know, seeing the home stretch in sight. This can be um, you know, making a big life change, hitting health goals, you know, all of these things, anything, leveling up in your relationship, you know, anything you've been pouring your time, your energy into and building, you know, this is the time when you're going to start seeing your work pay off. But if you start going out there and moving from this kind of lower vibe energy, you can really sabotage yourself. You know, that you can turn that 7 of spades energy against yourself. You can sabotage yourself. You can ruin these opportunities. You know, you can undo all the hard work you've done just like that. That's the challenge of a cycle like this. And you might be tempted to go back to some of your old ways just to have that easy win, or, well, maybe if I just kind of, you know, maneuvered around this situation covertly, I might be able to work it out to my advantage. But that will bite you in the ass because we have this retrograde action going on right now. We got that full moon coming in Pisces on the 10th. This new moon lunar cycle is going to be with us clear through the 25th. Okay, so we're going to hit that full moon in Pisces. If we're focused in the correct way, if we don't get distracted by this shit, if we know when to have our firm boundaries, when to, you know, pull ourselves out of dramatic scenarios, if we let the chips just fall where they may, we don't resist it. When stuff starts happening that's out of alignment with our truth, our integrity, we don't fight for it. You just let it go. They turn out to be a fuck boy, you just let them go. Your friend is talking shit about you behind your back, you just pull your energy away from that person. You don't need to fight about it. Like when people show you who they are during the cycle, just trust that. Is there really anything to like figure out around it? You want them to be sorry, or you want them to you know, make it right. Like they've already shown that's not who they are. That's not where they're at. Some of the truths that come forward are going to be kind of harsh, and they'll be activating because we got all this retrograde energy going on. We got a lot of old trauma coming up in this cycle, you know, and it'll be rough. You'll want to get even. You will. You know, and people can always say, oh no, I'm not like that. I never want to get even. I never would want to have my revenge. And you're full of shit. You're full of shit. Everybody has this aspect to themselves. When somebody really does them wrong, they want to see that person pay. This is why we hear so much talk about karma, which is a concept that is so distorted and largely misunderstood. We're all here with karma to resolve, okay? We're not perfect beings. We are flawed. We are human. We have our shadow sides. We have our lower natures. And the only thing that makes any kind of differentiation between us and someone else who maybe is really going out there fucking shit up and causing a lot of problems is that we decided to be aware. We decided to be aware of our shadow. We decided to be aware of the ways that we can sabotage ourselves, the ways we can perpetuate pain, the ways we can cause more problems. And we decided, you know what? I want a better way. I want a better way. And you took accountability, you took personal responsibility, and you've done the work you needed to do to turn your life around. That's the only difference. But that shadow is still there, okay? So I am just making it very clear that when this stuff starts to hit you, you can think, oh, I would never be activated like that. But you very well may. The energy that's coming forward in this particular lunar cycle is intense. It can spark aggression. It can spark violence in some cases. And particularly the feminine is very much targeted with this energy. So there's a lot of vulnerability that's going to come to the surface. You pair that with that big Pisces energy coming in with that full moon, and it is going to be rocking and rolling. Things are going to get stirred up. You will feel activated. You are going to feel emotional. But we have to remember that this Mercury retrograde is coming in, right? In Libra. And it's going to journey on through clear until October 2nd when it ends up in Virgo. So it's like this full circle moment here. So start with your intentions now as this new moon energy just came in, and really focus on them. Get everything dialed in now through the 10th. Okay. So important. Because how you start is going to make a significant difference in how you finish. In how you finish. The best thing that I can say with this particular lunar cycle is really don't fight what shows you it doesn't belong in your life, what shows you that it needs to be given its walking papers. Don't fight the release of things that have caused you harm, ways that you've been betrayed, or in some cases abused. For real, this energy is going to be front and center. You don't need to rectify that. You're rectifying the situation. It involves you loving yourself enough, respecting yourself enough to remove yourself from that kind of energy, because you're not here to live a life that is full of drama or deceit or manipulation or people being aggressive or combative with you. There's never a need to move through any situation like that. And it was really interesting to me. I had this Venus flytrap come through for me as I was just sort of dropping in and focusing on the energy of the new moon. I thought, that's so strange. Why is the Venus flytrap coming up for me? And I thought about it. I'm like, well, what do Venus flytraps do? I mean, they catch the flies, right? And they eat the flies. And I'm like, well, what brings flies around? It's like shit brings flies around, So it's like, we're here to like clear out the shit so we can get these pests out of our life, And that begins first with sort of looking at us, like, what's our shit? What's our shit that we need to hold? What's our shit that we need to clear out of the way? And what am I doing that perpetuates this drama or perpetuates this conflict or keeps this in a stuck holding pattern where there's no resolution and there's just this frustration? What is the part I play? What is my piece? Whenever you feel activated, whenever you're feeling dinged by somebody, whenever somebody's pushing your buttons or you feel triggered, okay? Don't make it about that person. Don't make it about that person, changing their behavior to adjust to your triggers. Turn the mirror on yourself and say, okay, I am feeling triggered. I am feeling activated. What's coming up in me right now? And if legit, it's this person that you've told repeatedly, hey, when you go there, when you come at me like this, when you interact with me like that, it really sends me in a tailspin. And this is why. If you've taken the risk to be vulnerable with somebody and they keep dinging you, what the fuck are you doing holding a place card for this person? Why are they still part of your story? You have to look at that. You can't expect this person to change their behavior to accommodate what activates you. It's your responsibility to extricate yourself from that situation and say no more. And that's personal work. So some of that stuff's intense to look at, right? We don't like to look at that. And it doesn't mean that that person's right for treating you like that or that it's fair or any of that. But that's not what matters. What matters is that you are able to get out of that place of activation, right? Get out of that place where you're all stirred up emotionally. You want to make somebody wrong. You want to put the blame on somebody. You want to punish them for what they did to you. You want them to pay for the way they mistreated you. I mean, we know this is in the consciousness out here. I don't care what anybody says. You can put on your little Pollyanna Priss face all you want. I don't care what anybody says. The reality is this consciousness is out there. How many videos are there on YouTube? How many videos are there on YouTube about readings where it's like, what's their karma for screwing me over? Like, why the fuck do you even care? This person has already shown that they're not even worth the mental space in your consciousness. Like, what's your karma for continuing to focus on this shit? You should think of it like that. You're the one who's paying a price. So it's about this kind of work, like clearing out the shit inside, like being real with yourself. Real with yourself. And knowing what's your responsibility. And once you get that straight, once you clear out your own shit, you're no longer going to be in resonance with these fools. You're not going to draw these pests to you. But if you're dealing with a lot of this, if you're dealing with this like trauma, if you're dealing with combative people, if you're finding yourself in these situations repeatedly, you have to understand that in some way you are an active participant in the dance. And this is the kind of work that's coming up with this particular lunar cycle. It's going to be intense. And with all that retrograde energy, we're going to be bringing up a lot of stuff from the past. Of course, it's like, let's regurgitate it one more time. We didn't digest it the first time. Now we got to digest it again. Can we get it right this time? Can we really go into the belly of the beast and can we integrate this stuff? Can we use that medicine from Saturn to have some discipline? Can we set our sights in a new way with this 2 of clubs in the light? Turn your attention away from this. Look out toward a new horizon. Set your sights in a new direction. This is so important with this lunar cycle. Because remember, how you start is where you end. So do you want to see yourself moving forward? Stay focused. Remember the things that you set in motion for the first 2 weeks of this lunar cycle before we hit that full moon in Pisces on the 10th and before everything goes retrograde, because once we got Mercury retrograde, how that goes. People like to joke. They say it doesn't have an effect, but it does. And it certainly does with everything already being retrograde, because it makes it difficult to clear things out, to communicate effectively, And part of what we need is to be able to communicate effectively to get to the other side of a lot of this shit, whether it's healing rifts or whether it's being able to really present our truth, um, work through difficult dynamics, difficult situations with other people, things that need to be expressed. When it comes to trauma release, sometimes it's about, needing stuff to come up and out, not holding things in anymore, not holding yourself back anymore. When there's delays, when you're in a holding pattern, it can be like a form of control. And there are some people who will use those tactics to control situations. They'll put you on ice, they'll put you on pause. It's up to you if you choose to sit there and wait around for them to, set you free. It's up to you if you choose to bide your time while other people determine what your fate is going to be. I don't recommend that. I recommend you really put your focus on these first 2 weeks and deciding, what do you want to achieve this lunar cycle? What are you wanting to bring into being? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be by the time we reach the beginning of October? What do you want to see manifest in your life? How do you want to be feeling? What do you want to transform? And put a plan in motion. Put an action plan in motion. Something that you can really put your focus on. So when this stuff starts to stir up, which it will, you don't get sucked into it. Instead, you go, all right, I can see where this is. I'm not going to let this distract my energy. I got what I'm focused on. I'm going to put up some good boundaries. I'm just going to create some space and I'm going to dive deep here. I'm going to get my house in order. I'm going to get my house in order. I'm going to take responsibility for how I'm feeling. And anything that is pulling on my energy, that's pulling me into a negative space, that's activating me, that's prompting me to act out of my lower nature, to lash out at a person or somehow blame a person or make them wrong or want to see them pay for what they did to me or any of that shit. I'm going to use that as a cue that I actually need to pull my energy back, refrain, step into that place of self-mastery, and have a look at myself, understand what's really going on. Why am I feeling so activated? And if I'm choosing to stay in a dynamic where I'm being mistreated, where I'm being disrespected, where people are not able to communicate with me in healthy ways, or where I feel like my communication is blocked, or what I have to say or what I'm feeling does not matter, then why am I still engaging with this? Just let it go, release. Let it go, release, and focus on where you do have the ability to affect change, which is in your own life, with the things that you chose to invest your energy in and set in motion with this new moon. It will help you immensely. I highly encourage you to have some kind of goal, some kind of vision, something you want to achieve. It can be very helpful to have a goal when you're working with that Saturn energy, because it can keep you grounded. It can be this grounding point. The reality is, with that Uranus energy in play, things can be really unpredictable. Things can come at you out of left field unexpectedly. There's going to be lots of things unraveling, over these, next 28 days that are going to catch you by surprise. I didn't see that coming. Okay. Like I said, it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride. There will be some drops. There will be some loop-de-loops. But if you're able to kind of ground yourself by staying focused on your goal, it can be a great way to funnel the energy, a great way to channel the energy. So can exercise. Exercise can be a fantastic way to move those heated emotions out of your body. So, take it for a fucking hike. Instead of telling them to take a hike, you go on a hike, get out into the fresh air, go and take a problem to a mountain. Just get to the top of that mountain. Ah! Let the energy out, whatever you need to do to just move the energy out of your body and for you to stay focused and not get sucked into these dynamics. Don't let anybody make you an option, whether it's in romance or whether it's in business. If somebody isn't seeing your value, if somebody is dishonoring agreements, if somebody is trying to manipulate you, or they're putting you willfully in a situation that you've made very clear you're not cool with, remove yourself as an option. And if you're finding resistance around doing that, and if you have any kind of fear about doing that, that's the shit. You need to look at what is that about? Why is that there? Because that's what's keeping the pests coming around. And it's about embodying that Venus flytrap energy, all right? You have to work with that energy of Venus, even though Venus is toughly aspected with Uranus. Like poor Venus just wants to love and be in beauty and be in sensuality and that wonderful, feminine energy. But instead, Venus is having to deal with people acting out of pocket, the rug being pulled out from under her, it's this unpredictable energy, and it can feel very destabilizing for such a soft, luxuriating planet. So it's so essential. It's so essential to just really work with this energy of moving away, moving away from what is taking you out of that center, moving away from anything that is making you feel like you have to fight for it. You shouldn't have to fight for anything that's meant for you, honestly. I don't care if that's like a position at work or a relationship or an opportunity. I mean, certainly, when it comes to things like opportunities, yeah, you got to put yourself in the running. You have to put yourself out there. You have to let yourself be seen. You have to bring your best to the table, let yourself shine. But if it's turning into a thing where there's like a lot of competition, there's negative energy being thrown around, then like, okay, that's not it, right? Because if it's for you, it flows. It's an energetic match. It's an energetic match. So really pay attention to the energy, how it's presenting itself as you move through this lunar cycle. And be like that Venus flytrap, digest these experiences. Let yourself move into that luxuriating energy of Venus when these, curveball moments come, instead of moving into the reactive Mars energy and getting all stirred up and activated and popping off. Instead, just take the risk to go the opposite direction. Give yourself a little space, create some boundaries, take some time to yourself and sink in. Move into the vulnerability of what you're feeling. Don't make it about anybody else. Let yourself have your emotional experience. Let yourself have your emotional experience and understand what it's bringing up to you. What it's bringing up to you to transform within yourself, so that you don't find yourself tolerating these dynamics. So you don't find yourself, the bus can pull up to the station, but that doesn't mean you have to get on it and go for a ride. Start looking at these situations like that. It's just a bus. It's pulling up to the station. Do I really want to go on this ride? I know where this ride leads, okay? It takes me all the way down I-5 and it lands me in fucking Gorman, where I get fucking stuck. And if you've ever been down I-5 and ended up in Gorman, you know what I'm talking about, okay? You don't want to go on that ride. You don't want to go on that ride, all right? So It's about you understanding that you are the driver. All right. You get to decide which way you want to direct your chariot to move forward. And don't get stuck in any of these kind of triangulation dynamics. It is super front and center with this lunar cycle here. Look at this. Okay. 3 of Hearts in the shadow. There is a lot of triangulation going on here with this lunar cycle. It's not just romantically. And we have to remember that when it comes to triangulation, it's not just like, oh, the third party is always like some lover or somebody's like trying to get with my person or some home wrecker on the scene. It's not always that. It can be an addiction, it can be a really unhealthy habit or a destructive behavior that you or somebody you're involved with has that's causing a lot of disruption in your life. It can be putting too much emphasis on something to the detriment of something else that really needs nurturance, that really needs care, that needs attention, that needs your participation and your presence. So it's about unraveling this shit. It's about unraveling the triangulation. And triangulation in and of itself automatically creates like confusion. It creates this confusion piece. And when people feel confused, then they're unable to act. And that's how they get stuck. They get stuck because they feel this lack of clarity. They feel this lack of clarity because there's this other element in the mix that's acting as a destabilizing influence. So it's about you extricating yourself from that triangulation. If it's you triangulating yourself and your relationships with, an unhealthy pattern of behavior, or maybe you're struggling with some kind of addiction or some kind of issue that you need to get some support for, this would be an excellent lunar cycle to be brave enough to have the courage to go and get yourself some help. Take the steps necessary to turn this thing around. You can really work with that second half of the lunar cycle with that Pisces full moon coming in, and all the retrograde energy would be an excellent time to do anything like therapy or some journaling or working with any kind of healing modality. And if you haven't looked into it, I am doing a 40-day self-care guided Ayurvedic Panchakarma here for the community at BroadCoven. So, this is a really great lunar cycle for Panchakarma. So if you want to take part in that, we can all move through this lunar cycle together, supporting each other and bringing in the tools, to get through it in a way where we all benefit. We all come out the other side of it with that strong footing where we began this cycle. The beautiful thing is with that Virgo energy, Virgo is great for getting discipline, putting the plan in motion, getting everything kind of dialed in and streamlined. And it's that earth energy, right? Like really grounding the vision. And then with the Pisces full moon energy coming in on the 10th, we've got the water that's just going to nurture that earth. So those seeds that are planted right now with this new moon, they can really grow. And during that retrograde energy, it'll all just be germinating, and you'll be nurturing it with your work, the actions you're taking, the work you're doing to bring everything into being. And it's really cool because we got double sevens energy coming out here, both in the light with that. Okay. This is all about growth. Okay. 7 of diamonds. This is all about invest in your growth. Invest in your growth. And that applies on every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Invest in your growth. Invest in your growth. So like that Venus flytrap, you can digest these experiences emotionally. You can do the emotional work. You can stay connected to your source of spiritual drink. Spiritual drink? Well, yeah, drink it in, maybe you're a little parched spiritually. Maybe you need to take in some spiritual nourishment. Maybe you need to make more place in your life, more of a priority position in your life to actually uh, create the space to have time to cultivate yourself spiritually, whether that's through meditation or even reading books that inspire you, or maybe for you it's going and hanging out with a spiritual community or spending time in nature, whatever feeds your soul. Maybe you're thirsty for that. Maybe you need more time for that. Maybe you need some spiritual drink, bring it in, man. Um, Interesting that that would come in. It's kind of funny to me, but it's sort of led to something else where it's making me think of Olympia and spiritual cleansing and spiritual baths, you know, just really drinking in that cleansing spiritual energy. And I don't know, maybe some of you will be, um, you know, maybe some of you will be making more of a commitment to your spirituality in this cycle. And certainly if you're going through any kind of process with kicking an addiction or really transforming your life, coming from a place where maybe you've needed to do a lot of, sort of reformation kind of work, maybe you were in a really dark place and now you're stepping into the light and you want to make a commitment to that. Maybe some of you will be going through baptisms. Maybe some of you will be renewing your faith. Maybe some of you will be going to the river and making your devotion to Oshun, however it speaks to you. But there is this kind of peace coming in, and wouldn't that be beautiful to bring that kind of energy in, this recommitment to your spirituality, to your spiritual growth with that Pisces full moon? When the floodgates will already be open, when you'll already be in that place of open receptivity and you can kind of give yourself over to something higher, something higher within yourself. Beautiful way to just have that support, but really invest in your growth. This is what leads to blessing. This is what leads to success. And it's so important that you preserve this. There's that 7 of clubs energy, that you stand on it, that you have conviction that I'm invested in my growth. And that right there is the perfect litmus test. Okay. Anytime you bump up against something difficult in this lunar cycle, anytime that you're feeling that activation, you're dealing with some fuck shit, you got some drama going on, whatever it is, right? Really use it as an opportunity to ask yourself, do I want to grow this in my life? Probably not. And instead, just always choose your growth. If you keep your focus there through this lunar cycle, I'm going to focus on my growth. I'm going to go where the growth is. I'm going to go where I'm going to grow. I'm going to grow where the growth is. And it's very true. So, if you're focused on this job and you're not being treated right on the job and you're really struggling financially, there's no growth there. Okay. So maybe it's time to start thinking, where can I put my focus instead? Maybe I need to start exploring my options. Maybe I need to think about putting together a new resume, looking for a new job. Maybe I want to do something on my own. Maybe I want to strike out and create my own business enterprise, really think about that. Where's the growth? And the chances are the growth is where you might feel a little bit scared. It might feel a little off-putting. I don't know. I feel a little bit like, I want to do that, but I don't know. Can I do that? That's the thing. That's the thing. And see, that's working with the positive energy of Uranus, which is really about, taking a calculated risk. All right. Giving yourself the space where you can get clear, where you can really sink into what feels right to you, not acting impetuously, using that moderation of Saturn, but, also using the Mars energy to, have the cojones, have a bit of that, like, yeah, I got it. I can do it. Get that mojo working and work with that unpredictable energy and go, you know what? I'm going to do what I never thought I would do. But that's what really is lighting me up right now. Okay. But what's important is that you really stand for this growth, that you don't let anybody or anything interfere with your growth. This is where the boundaries need to be. And if you're putting your energy into something that feels really positive for you and it's bringing you a lot of growth and it's bringing you a lot of reward and you feel yourself leveling up and you're feeling really good, that you're dealing with a lot of people around you who maybe don't feel so good about you feeling good, then it's time to have good boundaries with that 7 of clubs energy. Because I see where you're putting your growth, when you invest in growth, it pays off with the 10 of diamonds in the light, baby. All right. So it's pretty clear the way that the collective needs to move forward with this cycle. This is wild. Cut of the deck energy. 10 of diamonds in the shadow. All right. Can't make this shit up. The choice is yours. Where are you going to invest your energy? What are you wanting to grow? Are you going to continue to feed into the drama, the negativity, fighting, competing, butting heads, struggling because of some egoic need to prove that you're right or come out the winner or whatever story you've told yourself? It's a trap, man. You're going to inherit more of that if you go in that direction. Or you can choose to grow yourself. Clear out that shit. Set your sights on leveling up physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You can focus on growing the light in your life. You can focus on growing what feels good, what lifts you up, what resonates, what flows, what comes with ease, and you receive every reward. Every reward. Do that. Digest those experiences, clear out the shit, and chomp all those flies. Just get rid of all those pests, man. Just let them fall away. And you're going to find life is like so much sweeter when you come out on the other side. And you'll see that many beautiful things were able to grow out of this lunar cycle because you chose to grow. And that's what matters at the end of the day. So, don't get caught up in the jive. Don't believe the hype. Stay true to you. Don't engage. Don't engage with this shit. If somebody shows you that they can't meet you in a place of emotional maturity, work through issues with you responsibly, it's really important that you don't allow that to take the reins when you're the one who's steering your chariot. Because once Mercury goes forward and we're heading into October, you've either handed those reins over to someone else and you find yourself still in a holding pattern, or you're going to be going straight ahead to where you set your sights in this lunar cycle. I think you'll make the right choice. Stay tuned.